You are not a real DC gamer. Real DC gamers lift weight and are true man.
You see this? You see this little Twinkie arm right here? Yeah? You think that's a little Twinkie arm, do you? Well. What do you think, man? Getting there slowly, right? Better than nothing. Better than nothing. Well, it's that time again. It is time for another runner event, the classic, and this time we have the new duo Dance Dragon, which is a very weird legendary because he's actually double soul, double electric, which is like a legendary with basically two elements. Very, very strange and probably not very useful for anything, but it is a new dragon, so I will take it. But this is a classic runner event, so we've got this full runner event, so you can get your hands on the dragon, you can get your hands on free gems, you can get your hands on free event items, XL food boxes, and all sorts of goodies. So roughly, if you're free to play and you can get over 100, over 110 maybe per run, you should expect to finish somewhere around this range. So, you know, we've got the new dragon and maybe like 4 to 5 of these nodes afterwards. That's roughly what you should expect to be able to unlock in this runner event. But of course, with runner events, to be able to do well in them, you need to collect flight stamps, and then you have to actually do the runner event runs and then see how well you do. But you should be aiming for at least 100 per run, and I've made plenty of videos on guides for how you can do this on any platform. But, you know, on top of us actually doing a couple of runs, which I will do in a second, of course, we've got all of these tasks. And if you want to know which tasks are upcoming in these runner events, you can easily find out by opening up the Deet List website, which I will link, and it shows you the current mission set, it shows you the upcoming mission set, it shows you the mission set after that, so you will know exactly what to expect, multiple resets in advance, so you know whether you're going to have to breed or hatch eggs next time, or whether you're going to need your food dens active. So I love Deet List as a resource. But those are the upcoming missions. I've finished all of these, but of course the most annoying quests tend to be the league battles, because of course league battles, it's going to depend on the sort of team that you have. Like if you don't have dragons that can take on these battles, it's going to suck. Whereas for me, I've got, well, dragons that can deal with league battles, so it's not a problem here. But of course, pay attention to when those league battles are coming up, because there is this mission set, for example, that gives +5 for 3 league battles. So save your league battles for those nodes. And then, of course, the other ones that we've got include breeding and hatching. So if you know that a hatching node is coming up or a hatching set of quests are coming up, I'd highly recommend throwing in some war dragon eggs, the reset before that. So then if you pop in the War Dragon egg, it's going to be available in time for the next reset, and then you don't even have to worry about hatching Terra eggs. Whereas with the breeding, of course, you can do a lot of the breeding naturally if you've got enough spots, but it's going to be your classic Terra x Terra. We love the Terras, of course, and they love each other. But you're just going to have to keep rebreeding and rebreeding and rebreeding, so it's going to be the classic heroic race thing. I guess I almost said trope, but we will have breeding tasks that we have to do as well, so bear all of that in mind. Outside of that, collecting food, feeding dragons, it's basically whatever you do for the heroic race, it applies to these runner events. But of course, you've got to log in every 8 hours, do the quests, and then you've got to actually spend your steps. And so, like I said, I've done plenty of guides on runner events before, but you should realistically be aiming for at least 100 every single run. And I know that the obstacles at 70 can be a big pain, but you get used to it, and you realize that they're actually a lot easier than they seem to be, or as impossible as they seem the first time you see them, especially with the ones that have tons of rocks everywhere. You just have to be more precise than you'd expect. And I know it can be difficult, especially if you've got, say, you know, a laggy device. Maybe your phone is very old, or maybe your computer is not up to scratch, let's say. You just need to work out whatever timings is going to work for your slow, terrible device. Mine is fine. Especially on PC, I really prefer playing runner events on PC, and I highly recommend it. If you have the ability to play on PC, I would say do it. but it's your choice at the end of the day. You know, you can just use the arrow keys on PC. You don't have to go for any of the other rewards if you don't want to, or you can't be bothered. Main thing is just picking up the pinwheels on your way through and just trying to get to 120 per run. Now, you're not going to hit 120 every single run. You might miss a couple of pinwheels on your way through, but as long as you're getting at least 100 every run, on average probably 110 per run, you should have a very easy time with this event. But, you know, you might have to miss a couple of the pinwheels on the way through because they might end up killing you if you go for them. So just try and survive as long as you can, pick up as many as you can on your way through. And then once you collect all 120 or like 119, you can just die. And then there you go. Quit out, do another run. And that is it. That is this event. You just got to keep doing it over and over and over and over again. I should watch this for 5 extra gems, but I can't be bothered, so I'm not going to. But it is as easy as that. And now just do that a bajillion times. Very fun and very reasonable. You know, I wish that they would halve the amount of time it takes per run because, you know, after doing so many runner event runs, like, at least it keeps you engaged, but it can get kind of boring, you know. But other ways that you can get runner event flight stamps, of course, ads. So make sure you're watching your ads. You see that I've already watched up to 15 ads. We will be getting probably some more in ads as well, so definitely make sure you're watching your ads. The way that I managed to get so many flight stamps already, if you were wondering, like we're nearly at 100 already, is because in the maze event, we have the Brave Dragon path, and you can see that I am right at the end of the Brave Dragon's path. I'm probably not going to get this final duo fossil because it's 700 currency, but I have made my way all the way through this light blue path, and you get, well, a decent amount of runner event flight stamps, not an insane amount, but you do get extra ones. So if you do want to get as many flight stamps as possible, and say you really want to get your hands on those XL fruit boxes, definitely pick up the extra flight stamps. But again, you should be getting at least about 100 to 110 per run if you want to have a good shot at getting all of these big rewards in the XL food boxes down here. Now, one other thing that I haven't actually mentioned this time yet about the Deatlist website is that they have a really handy calculation tool. So if you scroll down from where you see the mission sets when you're under the runner event banner, you'll see this. And so this will show you exactly how many runner event flight stamps it'll take you to get a set amount of points. And so you could go, okay, my average per run's 110, the remaining flight stamps from the event is like 50, and say you've got 200 stamps currently that you're going to use in a second, and then if we calculate how many flight stamps you would well, how many pinwheels you could get from that, that's 5,500 pinwheels. And so then if we go to Ditlep and we go to the runner event section, that is roughly going to get you around about up to the banquet box. And so maybe a pile of leaves as well. So that just gives you a rough idea of what rewards you can expect if you use both the Ditlep and the Deatlist guides here. I highly recommend using them both. You don't have to, you could just, you know, get as much score as you possibly can, but if you want to have a good idea, definitely use these websites for this. Like, you know, Ditlep has its iffy parts, and some of its event guides are a little bit broken, but definitely works along with Deatlist for runner events in particular. So definitely get in on those. And of course, the other thing that we've got going on at the moment is also the full quest. So you can get flight stamps from this as well. There aren't any items available, like special event items, but you can get, you know, there's 5, 5, 5, and then 10 there. So then there's obviously the starting ones as well, but it's a nice little handy handful of flight stamps. So bear all of that in mind. Other thing to bear in mind, of course, is it is the last day of this Pure Titan Hollow. So if you are going to get in on it, you need to get in on it now. It can even be worth it doing refresh runs for 10 gems, but again, that's going to start to get expensive, especially if you get screwed over by RNGs. So your choice. You do as you wish, but there is also that for you to be doing. But make sure that you're not clogging up your breeding and hatching dens and your hatcheries too much, because if you do, you're not going to be able to finish off your runner event quests. So make sure you bear that in mind. Other thing that I did want to mention is that at the moment, we do actually have a new heroic empowering to the final empowerment star. So we did actually make it in the end. Nakria is going to be E5 very soon. I'm not sure if I'm going to speed it up to get the bonus 100 jokers or not, but she is there. So we have another E5 heroic. It was so easy to E5 Nakria this time, like unreal. And I'm even going to get some bonus orbs off the rest of the rank up, so I can trade those away for stuff as well, which is nice. But, you know, I guess that is mostly what is going on. The other thing, of course, that is ongoing at the moment are the special shop dragons. And, you know, as tempting as they may be, like at the moment we've got Titans, but like Wind Titan, Light Titan, that's not too interesting. But then we do have the other Titans and such, Ice Titan. So you could buy any of these dragons if you want to, but we will be having more dragons going on sale over the next few days. And so I would highly recommend ignoring the Titans right now. I know, it sounds like I'm hating on Titans. They're not particularly good compared to other VIPs. So today I would say just ignore them. Tomorrow, however, we could get some tasty, tasty drops. And the way that you'll know that this is coming up is because they do have it, where is it, the Black Friday shop. So between the 15th and the 24th, every day you'll find a different group of powerful VIP dragons in the shop. And so expect these dragons to be like 600, 700-ish gems roughly. But you could end up picking up any of these dragons if you want them. So be on the lookout for those this week. It's just today is the start of the listing, so don't expect anything crazy. But you know, when it comes to these runner events in particular, I know that a big issue that a lot of people have is just scoring in the runner event itself, especially new players. But even if the runner event feels really difficult, maybe it looks really quick to you because you're just not used to the event yet, trust me, it becomes so easy. Like, you won't even have to look at the screen eventually because you just get so used to the patterns. And I know that it is randomly generated to an extent, but there are specific patterns that do repeat in these runner events. So even though you might not even think it, your brain probably already has recognized this pattern, and like my fingers move before I even think about like what I'm looking at now. And so that's the case with anything. Of course, it doesn't just apply to Dragon City and runner events. You can use that in real life situations, and that's the whole point. You know, you get to the point where you don't even think about it anymore. But trust me, I met so many players that think getting past 70 pinwheels is like impossible. I don't even notice when I'm getting to 70 pinwheels anymore, like unless it's an annoying pattern in particular. But just get used to it. Even if you screw up a couple of runs, as long as most of your runs are above 100, even if you do it early like that, just because I was sort of not paying attention, but even if you do it early, like that's still 110. You know, if you get 110 per run, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, it's 10 less than you could have gotten. Oh, I'm gonna have to watch those. I know I skipped the gems, but I shouldn't skip the insignias, should I? I shouldn't.